We have the Cursed Bride Doll with Generaider. We also have Phantasm Spiral, and yes, we have Solfachord action as well. Welcome back to your top 32 for the Phantom Revenge event. So make sure you guys smash some crap out of that Cursed Bride Doll. So every time when you draw this card, it's a free reveal and a free special, and it just acts as an extra free body for this deck for you to be able to synchro off and I guess start to get to some pieces, which is kind of an interesting takeaway with this. Also do see, you know, we're doing standard Generaider board plays in here, which just rooting it on up. Definitely a concept. I actually appreciate the Cursed Bride Doll. Next up here, we have the Pyre's map into the Yummy shenanigans here, which is kind of a normal occurrence, honestly. You know, you just got to be cycling through the good monsters in your deck. Also, the fact that this build is main decking triple gravity collapse is absolutely absurd. You know, I know we don't have a hard way to get to this, but I mean, you're playing the extra librarians anyway, so I'd rather just use the blowout card to make sure that I've done my job and go. Ooh, we have Yummy Mitsurugi. This tends to be the build that I think people gravitate towards the most right now, because it's been dubbed kind of the extra little powerhouse in Go. Well, all things considered, I mean, I kind of agree. You know, you've got droplets, and you have so many good options just to kind of control the opponent that I think it's really, really so. We've also got the Great Purification doing its job here. We've also got, you know, the extra field spell on the side deck. Not too bad. Next up here, we have Odeon and the Angel's Trumpeter using the Primite package as kind of the little extra gas that you want to see, but also we do play the 2 Delta with the 1 Gamma in here just for the control package, man. Getting a spell negation is very, very solid. I see we've got the double Apophis and the Serpent in here as well. So you've got all of your standard tools that this build wants to bring to the table. Also, hello, the Verdict of Anubis. Next up here, we have more Dragon Tail. Yes, the double-branded fusion with the 1 Albaz, which has become very standard now. We also do get to see the triple Fenrir in here. The fact that this build is bringing along the triple Fenrir to control the opponent, I think is very, very nice. We don't talk enough about how good Fenrir typically seems in some of these matchups, but I appreciate having the tool set here. Also, Lightning Kaiju. Alright, next up here, we've got some more Solfachord action for you. Seeing the Solfachord Yummy deck actually working out is very, very broken. It's really funny because your pendulum scale is 0. So you can technically just unload an entire house of Yummies if you were to really want to go down that path. We've also got access to, you know, the standard hand traps you're going to be bringing in. We got the Drolls in the main deck. This is, by far, I feel like, the golden standard for this deck. See, a very, very simple shift here. Now, the first thing that draws my eye down here is we're actually bringing in Ghost Reapers in the side deck. I actually find this hilarious, man. I guess you've got to consider that Reaper reaping away something like the Leo Dancer. Actually, that's the only real thing I think they're setting in for, unless they're hitting some Yummy cards in the mirror match. Yeah, Lunalight is such an unfair matchup. I can understand why you want these good cards to do their job. Next up here, we have the legendary Blackluster Soldier normal monster. You're able to use this with the Phantasm Spiral and the Odeon cards kind of get set up, but also you see the Champion's Vigilance in here. Having that actual normal monster acting as a piece of negation is hilarious. This duelist also brought all of the floodgates that they could possibly think of to try to slow down and detour the game. Not bad. Next up, we have way more Draco Tail for you. You do get to see we are playing the 1 Frixel, but we're going with the 2-1 on these. This build is not playing the branded fusion, but instead they've gone with the Albion package in here, which I don't hate that idea. You've got to remember, like, branded fusion and King of the Swamp, depending on your local level of competition, this is actually not a terrible thing to consider within, you know, your deck building space. Next up, we do have Molnir and the Solfachord good stuff. So basically, you're using the Solfachord stuff to basically consistently set up your 5s. As you can see, I mean, unfortunately, you're doing kind of the same thing that the first place did. You're relying on that locking mechanism to blow your opponent out of the water. Though the cool thing that this deck gets is we do have access to the Herald of the Orange Lights to blow your opponent out of the water, and I can work with that. Next up here, we have more Yummy. So Yummy good stuff. I'm going with 12 of these things. Holy crap. We also do get to see the Hornet Drones and the triple engage getting the job done. I also do see we are side decking triple Meows. Once again, a lot of coin flipping back here on access to the Meows, and actually we are side decking the dimensional barriers as well. I guess this comes down to being a little bit of a cute tech choice. All right. Ooh, we have more Hecka Hands for you. Now, this is using the Cornfield Decodal and the Chimera stuff as well, but you're not dumping this into a 60-card package. No, you're playing this as what I would feel is a more optimized build. We're also side decking the Light of Intervention. When this card is on the field, monsters cannot be set or flipped face down. If a monster would be set, it must be normal summon in face-up defense position. Oh no. Next up here, we have Mitsurugi. Oh boy. So we actually do get to see the pure variant going with the 2 copies of Aramasa, which I think is fine. You do want this to be a good consistency piece. Habagiri doing its job. Also, you know, we do have the 1 Futsu in here helping us do our job, right? I mean, you're playing pure. So Futsu is a card that you have to look at because it's just going to rebuild your field, and that's quite nice. We also do get to see Wozu and friends doing their job. All right. Next up, we have DDD. Wow. Talk about a deck that really didn't get any crazy representation out of these events. I'm really happy to see that, you know, obviously the 0 Doom Queen here is very, very strong, but at the same time, you've really got to build up. Also, we are side decking a singular copy of Heavy Polymerization here just to be able to kind of get that little extra off of the ground and go. Cool. All right, next up we have Ryuji. Wow, with the dinosaur package. So the cool thing about the Ryuji dinosaur stuff here with the Jirax is you're going to be able to constantly do board wipes, and you get pretty much immediate access to this through the War Zone, which I don't know if you've realized this yet or not, which is kind of incredibly broken on the consistency front. You know, you might not think about that, but it does help out a lot. And then we've also got, ooh, this is an Enneacraft list. They're playing 50 cards. They're also playing the Deuce Crawler and the Pot of the Forbidden. I mean, what? You get to draw 2, return all spell and trap cards, destroy all monsters your opponent controls, or look at your opponent's hand and shuffle a card from it back into the deck. It's kind of cute, especially, you know, if you could get that working a little bit more consistently. But, hey, man, you're playing around with literal fire when it comes to the sense of how these decks are supposed to work. So what are my overall thoughts on Phantom Revenge? Well, I mean, going into this tournament, I really didn't expect to see any Enneacraft or any Hecka Hands, but it does look like that the TCG has done what the TCG does best. You know, they took the ideas and the concepts and they warped them in the best way that we know possible. You know, getting to see Hecka Hands actually doing its job, I think, is really, really nice. You know, especially if you're able to build it into like the Chimera piles, for example, and you're able to mold it in that way. That's very, very good. Enneacraft, I mean, solidly across the board, how many variants that you just saw taking off, I think is wonderful. It means that people are looking at Enneacraft as an actual viable deck. I mean, it does take a little bit of setup to initially learn how to play the deck. You know, you got to know how the scale interactions work and which scales you're going to value best on like a shuffle back, and then, you know, considering your control options, you know, what else you're going to need, and you're also going to need to know where to flip the control cards, or to have which control cards you're going to need at which points in the matchup. It all works out pretty decent well. Also, shout out to the Cursed Bride doll. That thing is kind of scary. I didn't actually think I would see like a competent Generaider list coming through here, but I appreciate that nonetheless. There's a lot of cool options present here, and I think that's a really, really good thing. So, what do you guys think about everything? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.